There are three main types of electrical wiring for commercial buildings: recessed, underground, and bare. Each type has its own specific requirements. In residential buildings, the wiring is usually narrow and encased in plastic sheathing, which protects the wires and the surrounding area. However, in commercial buildings, the wiring is commonly enclosed in rafters or tube-like conduits. It is coated with nylon and treated to withstand heat and chemicals. Electrical wiring for commercial buildings uses a three-phase system, which enables the various components to work together and meet the high demand of a commercial occupant. In residential buildings, insulation is typically used for the structure, but for a commercial property, the electrical wiring needs to be more durable. In addition to the higher voltage, commercial wires are typically coated with nylon to resist heat and corrosion. Therefore, it is imperative to get a licensed electrician to install the electrical wiring in your building. Electrical wiring for commercial buildings needs to be installed properly to ensure safety. Luckily, it is not that hard. With a little bit of information and proper training, you can choose the right wiring method for your building. Here are some ways to make sure your commercial building's electrical wiring is safe and up to code. The following are just some of the advantages of installing commercial wiring. If you are planning to build a commercial property, it's crucial that you choose the best option for your building. In addition to the ductwork, you will also need to install commercial wiring in the ceiling rafters. Unlike residential properties, commercial buildings tend to have more electrical loads. Because of this, the electrical wiring is generally thin and narrow, surrounded by a layer of plastic sheathing. The wires in commercial buildings are usually insulated, but there are some exceptions. You should hire an electrician who is a licensed professional and use proper safety tools. Electrical wiring for commercial buildings is often more complicated than in residential buildings. Besides the ductwork, commercial buildings must also include backup power and durability. For instance, the electrical wiring in residential buildings should be hidden so that it doesn't expose flammable materials or pose a risk to children or pets. If the building is designed to be used by the public, it should have the appropriate backup power. In contrast, a commercial building must have backup power in order to operate. The electrical wiring in residential buildings is tucked away in attics and crawl spaces, and it should not be disturbed. The same goes for commercial buildings. When installed improperly, commercial wiring can lead to power failure and can even cause a fire. So, it's essential to make sure that your building has the right electrical wiring. Its safety depends on its wires. The best commercial buildings have a variety of different wires. Residential and commercial electrical wiring are both essential and necessary for a building to run. For instance, the NFPA 70 standard covers several types of wiring, which are common in residential buildings. But, commercial electrical wiring has additional requirements. It must be easily accessible for the public to operate the building, while at the same time, it should be safe for all users. Hence, it is important to consider the safety aspects of a commercial building before starting work. When it comes to electrical wiring for commercial buildings, the General Requirements section provides an outline of the electrical wiring layout and the amount of power that each circuit needs. The electrician will help you create a design for your electrical wiring. This will include all the circuits and ensure that the wiring will be adequate for the daily demands of the building. In fact, it is important to choose the right wires for your building according to your needs. When it comes to electrical wiring, there are several differences between residential and commercial structures. The former uses a tube-like conduit, which allows easy access to electricians and other personnel. The latter, on the other hand, utilizes thin wire to carry electricity. Likewise, the residential house uses thin wires for wiring. But in the case of commercial buildings, the wires need to be protected by thicker metals. If the cables cannot be easily accessed, they can be damaged by electricity.